Round 8 has come and gone, and what a round it was. We had everything. We had blowouts, we had tight games, we had heartbreak at the end. I can only assume you, Damon Lowry and Pete, your weeks were filled with the same emotions off court?
Man, it was all happening during this week. You know, I had some WNBL stuff to take care of as well. That was good fun. And also just the NBL, man. NBL 26 is off his head already.
Yeah, I mean, the unpredictable nature of it, you're very high on that, and we're starting to see it. Doesn't matter where you are in the standings. Melbourne United lost a couple of games. They bounced back. You just look at the logjam on the standings as well. This season will be anyone's, and I'm excited to see which teams now start to put the foot down before we get to your team, because I am really high on what they can achieve as well.
When do they send out the rosters for the WNBL? Because I don't know why my phone doesn't seem to have buzzed at all for any games.
Studio ain't big enough for the both of us.
I've had a couple of conversations.
You've had a call?
I've had multiple, yeah.
And you're on it?
Somehow.
Just chopped liver over here, eh? Hey, I'll tell you what, maybe the broadcast doesn't have the firepower yet, but that wouldn't make it the only thing, not having the firepower, because, the Adelaide 36ers, they came at my man Damon Lowry for saying they didn't have firepower, and by God, it appears that in the fourth quarter, they lacked firepower.
Yeah, 11 points in the fourth quarter now. And I just want to say, too, that I felt like Bryce played great. That's a good game by him. You know, he didn't hit any twos, he didn't hit any free throws, but that stat line that Bryce had is exactly what they need. It's the other guys, which is what I've been saying. Now, Zion Cheatham, who is an uber athlete, top rebounder in the league, tied for it, not scoring enough points, not generating enough points. The two-headed monster, Pete, between Rukasovic as well as Ice Humphries, you know, I thought Rukasovic was good off the bench, but yeah, against the upper echelon teams in a potential series, I still question whether they got enough.
Well, they are still looking for a third import, right? I sat here a couple of weeks ago and said that Matt West and the LA 36ers are going to bring in a third import at some stage. And I think it just further highlights, you know, that depth of what's going to get them over the line. There's so much talent on that team already. Isaac White, we'll talk about, it's been terrific. What's going to get them from just being a top two team to a championship winning team holding the trophy up at the end of the season? The two games that they've lost, you go back to the Sydney Kings took Bryce Cotton out of it. They couldn't get over the line against the Sydney Kings. As you said, Bryce played really well, but they still couldn't get the job done. Now, I give a whole lot of credit to the Wildcats in this game. I thought they executed the game plan to perfection. And the key to that was, so Bryce obviously with 7 threes. You talk about just
he wasn't his usual efficient self.
He wasn't, but Bryce, they had a clear game plan, and they spoke about it in the press conference, not to send him to the free throw line. That was the key game plan. It's, hey, we want to see if he's going to continue to make tough shots. He did. He hit 7 threes. But in the end, sometimes when guys are just so great like Bryce Cotton, you just have to make the job as hard as possible, be disciplined, which they were. And if Bryce is in one of those moods where he's hitting everything, which he does an awful lot, you shake his hand and say, we just got beat by the best. But they banked on discipline paying off, and it did.
And having taller guards, too, having taller players. So David Dukes Jr. going 6'4", 6'5", long wingspan. It's harder for a smaller guy to get those mid-range floater shots off. So now the only time it looked like he was extremely dangerous when you got like Elijah Pepper, even Jaren really to a degree. But then all the help that's coming over there, they're all 6'8", 6'9". So that's when you need the other guys to be able to make some shots. And instead of deferring all the time, Bryce is going to get worn out. And like I said, regular season, Bryce can win you several games on his own. We've seen it too many times. But in the playoffs, and Pete, last year, that was the closest he's came with the firepower. When he had Dylan Windler, Keanu Pender, and obviously Christian Doolittle. Came within a bucket of getting to the championship series. This team don't have the same firepower. Sorry, Perth's team has more firepower than what they had that time.
And again, you're talking about what kind of other piece. It feels like it's that playmaker piece, right? Of, okay, if they do shut down Bryce, which Perth, I mean, they did a very good job. Bryce still had his way with 7 threes, but who's going to be a primary playmaker that then doesn't allow you to play that way on Bryce Cotton? So that's the key to watch. But again, I expected Adelaide to lose this game because of the emotion behind it all, because I actually thought that Perth had their first full week of practice with David Duke Jr. He was terrific. But the first full week of continuity, I sat here last week and I thought the starting 5 would be Duke Jr. and Jaren, really. And I just think it all worked. And I actually think that the emotion side, as much as Adelaide played it down, but I think the whole team, you can't help but not get caught up in it, because you want to win that game more than anything else for your best player on your team, for your teammate Bryce Cotton. And it's hard as a human nature not to get caught up in that moment.
Mike Wells summed up the game as well in his press conference. I think he's very much on the same page as us.
Yeah, those are things that we'll have to analyze, to be honest with you. I thought they did a really good job at switching some things and changing some things out. And obviously Doolittle's a hell of a defender, and Windler's length, and, those guys were up there in some of those actions. And, we'll have to analyze a little bit of our offense and where those shots come from and how we function and get a little more movement and get a little more spacing and timing, and that's part of it.
I talk about the defence, and you hear what Mike will say. It's the length, right? So if you can beat the Perth Wildcats with Windler, Doolittle, David Duke Jr., and you can stay disciplined, again, that's where you just try and make Bryce's job as hard as possible. And sometimes the greatness that is Bryce Cotton, more often than not, is going to beat you. That is just what Bryce Cotton does. But they said, you know what? We're going to live and die by that. We're not going to send him to the free throw line. And they came away with a massive win.
What if there was a world where Bryce didn't play 39 minutes a game? I personally love seeing him when he's on the floor that long, because now you get those 40-point games, those 50-point explosions. But what if there was a world, Pete, where he played 32 minutes, 28 minutes, right? Because you had another scorer out there on the floor, and like you said, all of a sudden they can't...
Are you feeling all right?
No. I'm not saying so. I'm just saying it's not sustainable, man. For an entire season to be the sole guy getting chased around like that all the time. I just feel like some help. You don't have to play 39.
Damon, I'm in a very hard position here because I'm 100% with you. I agree with what you're saying, but you're also the same guy that's been trying to force an injured Will Magnay to play 56 minutes a game while he's been out there. You got guys with one leg that you're saying, send him out there, or you would have been a terrible, terrible captain in the war. I'll tell you that much. You would have been sending people over the trenches no matter what they had.
I disagree with that for the sake of, I think you just continuously evolve as a team and understand when Bryce, if you go back and watch that game, when Bryce doesn't have the ball, they're literally sitting on his lap in the corner. So essentially you're just like, how do we play 4-on-4 now and get some more playmaking from other guys? We said Isaac White's been great, and take advantage of it that way. I think having that gravitational pull still on the floor is super important. And when the ball's in his hands, you let him do what he has to do. So again, I think Adelaide 36 will be a much better team for having experienced that. And we'll see where they do that other import.
And in Adelaide's defence and Mike Wells' defence, it is harder to coach a Bryce Cotton team because he is so good that you have to sometimes, as I say, throw the coaching clipboard out and say, hey, let this man just work his magic out there, which is a different way to coach as you would coach any other team in the NBA.
We're not in full panic mode, though.
Of course not.
No. Because obviously it sounds like we're trying to pick it apart, because I think that win says more about Perth than it does Adelaide, personally. I think that was a full week for Perth Wildcats with David Duke Jr. here for a couple of weeks now, with their lineup set. Jaron really looks great. JLA, Doolittle. I think that says more about the Wildcats and where they can get to and how high I am of them, rather than Adelaide.
Aside from the win, the biggest thing that the Perth Wildcats fans, ownership, management are taking out of this game is David Duke Jr. He was fantastic on the defensive end, but that wasn't where he stopped. He was efficient. He was unreal on offense as well. This is looking like, and again, you said his first full week of practice together as a unit without having to travel, he looked fantastic, and I'd be real excited if I'm a Wildcats fan.
A big, strong guard, happened to be the same university as Bryce, Providence University, born and raised in Rhode Island, but his size and strength, right? He gets comfortable with his teammates. Mason Jones, he couldn't get comfortable with his teammates. He was a good scorer historically. Whereas David Dukes Jr. comes in, he's almost got that ignorance factor. Like, yes, I know who Bryce is. We went to the same school, but I don't quite know all the intricacies of his game. So he's had to study film, rely on his teammates for advice. But you can already see it. The first point of attack is going to be problems for not just Bryce, any small guards that David Dukes is guarding.
And I like the starting five they rolled out there. I think Jaron really is someone who's just going to facilitate. He's so poised for a development player. As we said, it's just a title. He's more than talented to be a complete roster player in this league. And then you got Duke Jr., Windler, Doolittle and JLA. This is why I was really high on the Perth Wildcats without Mason Jones firing, because they still had that piece to fill.
Sunday.
Ben Henschel coming off the bench. Sunday Detch did a good job. Again, we've got to see that more and more. It's a really good start, really good bounce back.
Credit to the Adelaide 36ers fans as well. A record crowd in attendance for that one. When basketball is booming in Adelaide, that's when we're at our best. That is a knowledgeable basketball crowd as well, which is why it's so dangerous when you start throwing out predictions and all of that sort of stuff with Adelaide.
And this is what we talk about the 36ers. Even without adding a third import, they'll get to a championship series. I think they've got more than enough to get to a championship series. I think to win a championship, though, when they add that next import, it'll put them over the line.
It's possible to get there, of course. But, like, man, Sydney Kings are coming. The Hawks are coming. Perth is obviously there. I mean, look, Tasmania, when they get hold, we almost have to write off some of the teams until they get hold. Like, Illawarra Hawks, forget all those losses before QJP. We'll talk about the Hawks later.
Yeah.
We'll
get on to the Hawks later.
But I can't wait for that conversation.
What we're going to get onto right now is probably the most disappointing result of the weekend, because finally, a lot of us thought this was the time that the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, smelling blood in the water, Melbourne United off 2 losses, they were going to finally say, hey, little brother, up there, bang, bang, smack them back. But unfortunately, they got rolled.
See, I'm not taking it that way. I felt like, yes, Phoenix came in some great form. They are three-point shooting. When they're at their best, they knocking down threes. They making 15, 16 threes. They made 12. They went 12 of 24, 50%, which is awesome. But there's levels to this, right? Now, Melbourne United coming off 2 losses, you had to know they was going to come out extra charged up. It's timing as well. I still feel like Southeast Melbourne Phoenix best is capable of beating Melbourne United from time to time. I'm not saying in a series. I'm still going to go with United in the series. But that particular game, I'm not going to read too much into that. A bad shooting night.
It's still, for me, you talk about the bad shooting, some of it was shot selection where I felt like they were trying to get too many knockout punches. Too many of those big shots, too many of those shots when everything's going well and you're kind of trying to wrestle back momentum. And then, I mean, Tyson Walker was terrific for Melbourne United, right? So everyone else trying to step up, and Nathan Sobey battled hard, but I just felt like some of their shot selection we hadn't seen in their winning streak prior to that. And again, players are always going to say it's just another game, but when you have the rivalry or the narrative about it, you can get a little bit caught up in the moment. That's just what you're in front of a great home crowd yourself. And I think the Phoenix in the long run will be much better for that game once again.
Well, that's the thing. There's always a lot of roster turnover within the NBL. So I can understand to certain players, they probably don't know the magnitude. You know, Tyson Walker, Jesse Edwards, they don't know the magnitude of the crosstown rivalry here. But for Southeast Melbourne, this was a huge missed opportunity for me, because they are always known as a little brother. Leonard Copeland always jokes that it's the throw up, not the throw down, because Southeast Melbourne just can't seem to register a win in that category.
There will be a Throwdown 31. In a Throwdown 32. Now, if they get swept, now we can say, hang on a minute. That was the one game. So I'm not going to read too much into that. But I'll tell you what, though, they need the best version of Jordy Hunter. It can't be that uptime that every now and then Jordy Hunter. They need the best version of Malik. Pretty much all of them.
There was polar opposite difference between the starting 5 for Melbourne and this one and the starting 5 for Southeast Melbourne statistically.
100%.
And I think it also showed the gaping hole that is Angus Glover. I mean, you talk about when they're struggling to get the job done off the bench. They couldn't figure it out, and that's what Angus Glover can bring. And you have a look at the starting 5. I mean, Walker, and I don't think we're giving enough praise to Finn Delaney just quietly. You talk about great off-season recruits. He's been fantastic for Melbourne United. Golding back into the starting lineup, which we spoke to Dean Vickerman at the Ignite Cup game, and he said sooner rather than later. We knew it was coming after a couple of losses. And then Jesse Edwards right now, we normally see it from a big at the start of the season, a new big, struggling with foul trouble. He's just going through that now. I expect him to snap out of that, but they're really deep compared to without Angus Glover, who's so important to the Phoenix. I think that really hurt them not having Glover.
The backcourt, Shea Illy is on his way back. Now, come on, man. Like Dash Daniels, Shea Illy, and Tyson Walker. Like, defensively, they're going to be able to lock up. But then when Southeast Melbourne Phoenix normally rush teams and cause a lot of turnovers, Tyson Walker's that good. It don't bother him. He got the quickest handles, can get downhill, get on the rim, hit threes. Normally, they get other teams to burp it up. That's not going to happen with them.
I never thought I would say this about a Melbourne United guard. But are we underrating and not giving enough coverage to what Tyson Walker's doing?
He's actually, I'll have to get into the stats, he's on like a historic pace for steals. Like, you talk about a guy who's just unbelievable on the defensive end, who can read the game, but now we've seen him have big offensive nights. He seems to be either going for like 24 or barely can throw it in the ocean. And he went through a little rough patch early, but this aggressive mindset is what they're looking for him.
Come on, man, look at that.
He was brought into this team to be a spark plug offensively off the bench. Like, Dean Vickerman has spoke about that. It was meant to be Shea Illy, who's about to come back, Golding, Milton Doyle, Finn Delaney and Edwards with that spark off the bench with Tyson Walker. So I'm excited to see what they can build on when Shea Illy comes back. And we go through every contending team. There's always a heartbeat. Like, you talk about, can they win a championship without a certain player? We talk about the Hawks with Dave Hickey, but it's Shea Illy. Like, can Melbourne United get to the top and finally win a championship? They need Shea Illy to be healthy.
So you're saying right now, even the team that went on a 9-0 run, if they don't have Shea Illy,
I think he's just too important.
They're not going to be able to win, even though they've gone, 9-0 and had sitting at top of the ladder. They can't win without Shea Illy.
I think those 2 losses did highlight how important Shea Illy is to them. I think they're deeper than any other team to be able to cover that. But I think, again, in a championship series after the last 2 years, what he means to that team, they'll find it significantly harder without him.
Now, they can win it without Shea, but Wilson, Tom Wilson. Now, he's the backup to Tyson Walker, right? That is the only X factor. Now, if Tyson Walker gets in foul trouble, having one of those dirty games, if Tom Wilson can come on and just hold the fort, he don't have to be Shea Illy. Just hold the fort and let everybody else eat. They can still win the whole thing. But Tyson Walker, man, I have not underestimated him. He's a pure point guard. We're used to seeing guards come out here, imports, shaking and baking, getting big numbers. That's not Tyson. But he can score when he needs to.
What about last week? I asked you, was it Southeast Melbourne or Adelaide that were the number two seed? With a few changes and a few results, I ask you now, Southeast Melbourne, Adelaide or Perth, who are you taking as the 2 seed?
Well, you're going to go to me who had Perth to win it all. So, again, what I saw from... I know it's one game, but having that week of practice, the continuity now, I'm really high on Perth. And I've got to see it again. I've got to see it again and again before I can jump on. But I didn't lose a whole lot of faith in either the Phoenix or Adelaide coming out of that because there were 2 games I didn't really give them more of a chance to win. But I do want to shout out John Brown as well. He was unbelievable. He just playing undersized 5 with Geordie Hunter's been down, ripping down rebounds defensively. He was awesome.
I'm saying that we can only go on current form. So the power rankings in that 2 and 3 spot, you left out the Sydney Kings. Because right now, based on form, Sydney Kings and Perth are the 2 and 3 seed. One of those two. And right now, Adelaide and Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, who will feature in the playoffs, the way their current form, I'm saying it's not as good as the other two.
I just refuse to write off Adelaide. I think that Adelaide, that fan base, that home court advantage, Bryce Cotton on there, I think they're going to work. And, of course, bring in another import there. I refuse to write off the Adelaide 36ers. But it's time to lighten up a bit. It ain't no cupcake league. Rest in peace to our brother Corey Homicide Williams. Wherever you're watching this one from, let's hope this one's a decent one. Now, Bryce Cotton said that he didn't trust, we hadn't done enough for him to be able to take our opinion seriously. Well, now I'm going to talk about shooting bricks. So surely I've done enough in that category where my opinion on this category holds weight. Have you ever shot a brick from the corner that was so bad the smoke cannon went off? I've heard of broken backboards. I've heard of broken rims. I've never heard of it smoking from the back there. No, I love it. There is few things that excite me more in this world than pyrotechnics backfiring, whether it be during New Year's, anything. So whenever that happens, send it in. It doesn't matter where across the world it is. Send it in and we'll do it. Now, this has been an issue all year. Now, this is going to be a cupcake, but it still annoys me. Have a listen to this one from Josh King's presser.
You've got to go to Cairns next Friday and then it's back here against Adelaide. It doesn't get, it's hard every week, but what does that challenge look like? Give us an idea.
It's 2 Queensland games in a row. We got Cairns, then Brisbane, then Adelaide.
Your boy stitched me up there, coach.
Well, I'm just correcting the stitch up. No, hey, look.
Come on, man. We've got to do better.
We've got to know better.
We've got to know better because these coaches, you come in off a loss, the last thing you want is to be answering questions. We require these coaches to answer questions after a loss that they don't want to answer. Now, we get prickly when they don't answer the questions, but you just can't be coming in. It's about the 4th time this has happened this year. So on behalf of Josh King, on behalf of NBL Media, everyone, I apologise.
That wasn't us. That was not us.
It was not us. But please do not let this happen again.
Well, this must be a Southeast Melbourne Phoenix cupcake because, again, we talk about Josh King. I love Josh King, one of my favourite coaches in the league. Refuses to break character. Now, I don't know if you saw this, but Malik Lewis, he was on fire. Have a look at him celebrating Josh King, giving him none of it. He said, what are you doing, young fella? I know you're having one of the best first quarters maybe you've ever had. And he's like, get back on D, young fella.
He gave him one clap. That'll do.
I've tried to catch you breaking character, whether it's not running and excuses, and you won't. So I'm not surprised by that from Josh King. And the other one I had was on Fox. I don't know if you saw this in the Throwdown, but he got challenged. He got challenged. Have a look at this, right? So he gets hit right there, in the shoulder from the referee. Then he realised he didn't get the call. He's straight up. Look at this. The referee shoulder, and then blocking foul. No way. I'm healthy. No way.
WWE style.
Mind you, he did go, and they did challenge that as well.
But
man, I noticed that straight away. Good effort there, Foxy.
Hey, now look, that was good. Now, we've seen technical fouls happen for the slightest of discretions. We've seen Brian Gordon jump a little bit off the ground, get one. But look what Bull Call does. Debatable if that was a foul. If anything, it was a soft foul for mine.
Surely he had a reasonable reaction.
But how's this?
No.
What? No! Parker's like, what are you doing, ref? Like, I feel like that is 4 years of bullquall frustration all came out in one moment. All those calls that he was getting from the referees for all those years, he just said, I can't take it no more.
Mate, the 4 years should have been a 4-year suspension.
Man, I am shocked that we saw John Brown have an early shower from just waving one off. Parker Jackson Cartwright's response in that was fantastic. That was awesome.
The poise of the referee. He did not flinch.
The thing that I want to see, though, is if the referees have had the sort of call to say, hey, let the guys show a bit more emotion, then let that be consistent from here on out. So we will judge that based on what we see from here on. Because the John Brown one, if that's a knee-jerk reaction to that, then so be it.
The pendulum swung too far in that case.
Yeah.
The pendulum is going to swing to an ad break, and on the back end of that, we're going to talk, do the Hawks have their mojo back? They do. All is not well in the Apple Isle. The mantra for Tasmania for the last few years has been defend the island, and unfortunately, according to Damon Lowry, they are under siege right now. Isn't that right, Damon?
Under siege.
Under siege.
There's pillaging and plundering going on the island. Nobody's safe.
Oh, you just Well, we can move on. Let's move on.
Right now, they're struggling to defend home court, and that's just the story of their season.
And it's been really disappointing. Again, I'm really high on the Jack Jumpers when they're fully healthy. David Johnson is so important. We know that. But just to try and figure out what's going wrong. I mean, Casey Prather, we know, is one of the best players in the league. He's absolutely dominating right now. But I didn't expect them to be losing like this at home. Granted, two of those are in Launceston, where they absolutely hate playing.
This was tough because it was a fantastic defensive play to end that. Fantastic from Nick Marshall. What was going on in this final possession, Damon?
Well, everybody got in the way. That's what happened. There's no way that Bryce Hamilton should not have taken that last shot of the game. They're getting two. Everybody wants to set a ball screen. Everybody wants to come and let me help you get open. No, get out of the way. The dude got 36 points. Everybody just move down to, you called it, Pete, just give him the ball, everybody. But we've seen not just that team do it. A few other teams decide, I'm going to come over there and give you a screen to help you out. Does it look like he need any help? He got 36 points. So that's just bad offensive execution.
Well, you're confused because that was the Launceston game where that happened. It happened in two games in that
back-to-back
round.
games, yeah.
In back-to-back games.
Ben Air ended up with a wide open shot. Could have made it, but that's not the point.
And it's a great look, but you're right. It's them bringing in another defender. Now, again, their issues right now go far beyond just the clutch time plays. But you've got one of the best one-on-one players in the league right now. Do not bring another defender into it. Granted, I think in that Phoenix game too, they put in John Brown III as the guy who was defending the screener. Trust me when I say if you're trying to get a game-winning shot off, you do not want John Brown III anywhere near you. No. So they've got a lot to fix up. Again, it'll be better once David Johnson comes back, but I still think they had enough or more than enough to get a win in Tasmania, and they haven't done it right now.
And also, Will Magnay, what's going on? Like, he is not playing to the level. Now, I'm not saying he's got to go out there and get you 20 points, but he didn't even look aggressive. I mean, he went back into the tunnel at one stage. He came back out, so we didn't hear anything, so there's no excuses. So they need more out of him. Josh Bannon is doing his bit, Bryce is doing his bit, but they're missing out on Will Magnay.
That's the tough one for me because this was a huge matchup between him and Tyrell Harrison, and he just didn't bring it. Now, we were commentating the game. He did walk to the locker room at one point. Now, Joe reported that the medic there had said he was just going back to give himself a pep talk. I'm not sure whether I believe that with the injury history and just the way he was playing. He looked a little step slow, and he just looked kind of out of it. It could have been a sickness or something like that, but I'm willing to put that one down as a mulligan for him.
Well, he's so important to everything that they can achieve on both ends, but you're right, just being that extra offensive threat. And you think about how much basketball he's played in the last 12 months as well. He's going to be playing in the FIBA break. Trust me, we need him in the FIBA break because that Tall Blacks roster is legit. So there's going to be some fun games. But, yeah, he's just so important. And whether he's carrying something, it does look like he's carrying something, or it could just be a little bit of fatigue as well. So hopefully they can freshen him up because he's one of the best big men in the competition when he's up and about. We saw it early. They need David Johnson back desperately as well.
As always, Scott Roth had some interesting things to say in the post-game presser.
Well, I think, those two guys, they had 49 between them of the 83. We just couldn't handle them. And too many lapses, play good, lapse for 3 or 4 minutes, play okay. And as I told the group, and I probably made this statement probably 3 months ago, that there's going to be, or at least for us, a lot of games in the last 3 minutes that are going to come down to execution, hitting a shot, doing the right thing across the board, rebounding, etc. And we've been in obviously multitude of these games already, and we're not even halfway through the season. So we have to tidy those things up at the end of the game. Our margin of error is 0.
Now, I am never going to tell Scott Roth how to coach a basketball game, but it's just that end bit that I was sort of hung up on a little bit, that there is 0 margin for error, that they're actively playing a game plan that really they know they're going to get in these close games. It's just an interesting one that sort of stuck with me.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. But what he's saying is they don't have the luxury of being able to make a lot of mistakes. That's all he's saying. So right now, Tiger Campbell, he's a rock-solid point guard. But he's not doing a whole bunch of scoring, which Scott Roth probably didn't want that kind of a guard anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at guys like Majuk Deng who can definitely score. But this is what I'm saying, Pete. The Jackie way, the move the ball, low possession game, slow it down. I'm saying when you're like this, would it kill you to go out of your box a little bit and get up shots maybe in the first 10 seconds of a shot clock? Can Scott Roth live with seeing guys just blaze up and down? Guys like Nick Marshall would love to get out and run and let it fly a little bit. So I feel like that would get the scoreboard ticking over more if guys is off the leash a little bit.
You say the Jackie way. When I hear that, the first thing I think of is defense and what they do on that end. And you hear Scott Roth talking about in the last 3 minutes of us trying to execute. In a couple of seasons gone by, when they first entered the league, when it was a close game, you just knew that Tassie, if they couldn't tick the scoreboard over, you weren't scoring on them. It didn't matter. And I remember calling that Phoenix game earlier in the round, and I was thinking, down the end of this game, I feel like I trust Southeast Melbourne more on the defensive end to come up with stops, whereas for 3 years, you just knew if the game was close, you could trust Tassie's defence to get enough stops if they couldn't score the ball. I think they've got to get back to that, of being able to rely and say, you know what, we're waiting for David Johnson to come back, but until then, we are so structurally sound and so well drilled defensively that we're going to grind you out. And then when David Johnson comes back, hopefully it's free-flowing. They've been through this before. Last year they had that, then Sean McDonald came in, they went on an 8-game winning streak. It's still very early, but I thought that they'd at least win a couple of these games in Tassie.
Tassie is still so tough on the defensive end. Do you think that they're going to be really one of those teams down the stretch to watch when they get David Johnson back later into the year and they start to find their mojo again? Do you think they're going to be a real danger team on the back end of the year and we're going to sort of forget about this period?
I'm still very high on them because, again, I think at full strength, full health, with Magnay getting back to full health, I do think they've got a wonderful roster. You've got to have that continuity there. But then I'm also starting to think, what is their edge compared to another team? As I said, in the last couple of years, you knew when the game was close, they would just make sure that they can grind it out. They haven't got that this year, so I'm not sure what their edge is right now compared to a couple other teams, but they'll be around the mark if they can stay healthy.
They got a rock-solid 8. The 3 imports, Magnay, Majuk Deng, Ben Ayer, Nick Marshall, and I'm missing Josh Bannon. That's their 8, right? So that 8 is plenty. But we're talking about the defense they've been historically good at. Who are they're missing Anthony Drimmick. They're missing Fabian Kristovic.
Who they're going to miss, seemingly, according to Scott Roth, for the rest of the season.
They're missing some of the heavy lifting, really grimy kind of defensive dudes. They've been kind of now leaning towards the offensive-minded guys in imports. So it might take them another few games halfway through the season and really get that defensive bite.
Hey, so I was away on business throughout the weekend. I really didn't catch too much Illawarra Hawks basketball. I'm assuming, look, they got smacked by 42, then they had a 2-point loss to Adelaide. I'm assuming it's still all disaster there and nothing's gone wrong.
They're back in a big way, baby.
They're back?
They're back in a big way. What have we got?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Tomahawk's here, everybody. Tomahawk is back. Now, look, everybody got to forget about the Hawks. Nah, don't be messing with them. Before Dave O'Hickey returned, those games don't count. All those games that Ja'Cory McLaughlin was playing, those games don't count. These last 3 games, Dave-O comes back. They had the blowout. Then he goes to Adelaide, missed a free throw, lose by 2. QJ Peterson comes in. And now all of a sudden, Dave O'Hickey, do you know he's leading the league in blocks? This is outrageous behavior by Dave-O. The Hawks now are back, need Jonah Bolden to get healthy, but their starting 5 is legit. 6-man, legit in QJ. And obviously they got Wilt, Chamberlain.
You know what? After his last 2 games,
Good Lord.
I do think you can probably start throwing that out because JaVale is starting to play, even though he never really dropped away from that too much. Over the weekend, he was fantastic.
Disrespectful.
He was unbelievable. And again, you're just trying to figure out how does anybody stop him? Well, they couldn't in this Melbourne United game, that's for sure. We were, for the Ignite Cup, we were having all sorts of fun. David Hickey spoke to us before their game Friday. He's knocking down 3 balls now as well. He is loving himself out here, and it's starting to show. And again, this Hawks team, when they're up and about, you talk about the vibe they had last season, playing with each other, having a whole lot of fun. I'm really excited to see where this can go right now because you talk about roster construction. Dave O'Hickey is the engine room. It is no surprise that they've turned it all around. And you're right. I mean, the games, unfortunately, still do count on the standings. But before that, it is a completely different team. It's night and day. So to have him leading the head of the snake, the way he plays, the poise on both ends, that's one thing. And the combination with McGee. But QJ Peterson, man, they needed a spark off the bench, and he finally found his stroke against the Cairns Taipans. And I really do love this roster construction.
QJ Peterson, welcome, man. 22 points, 5 of 8 triples. First game got off to a slow start, but this is the dynamic. Okay, we had Trey Kell last season, a different kind of a scoring guard. This dude is high octane. He's a bucket getter. He's perfect for the team, comes off the bench, and now all of a sudden, when you play like that, Pete, you get yourself into the little big man society. And I'm the founder. Sorry about that, Drury. I had to turn Drury around on that one. But QJ Peterson, man, it's not up to you whether you're in the society or not. It's up to me. Once you're in it, you can't get out unless I kick you out, and I can't see you leaving anytime soon.
Poor CJ Black. Poor CJ Black.
Copping strays.
Copping a stray there. He just got fired.
Imports was getting sacked back then, too.
The only difference is between you and QJ Peterson, I know you're in the Little Big Man Society, but his arms are bigger than you.
Oh, yeah.
That man is jacked, and I love the way that he goes about it. And you knew, I know a lot of people, he struggled to score. When he came in, that very first game he touched the floor, was in the country for a few days, he brought the ball up and took a heavily contested deep three, and I thought, oh, hang on. I was like, I know he can shoot. I saw all his stuff in China. But now that he's finding his feet, what is required of him under Justin Tatum, this Hawks team's the real deal.
They got a point of attack in Wani Swakala-Bullock. Mm-hmm. They got a bag-up point of attack in Daniel Greta. The only spot, Mason Peeling's got the 4 spots sewn up. That's cool. We need Jonah Bolden. They need Jonah Bolden to be healthy.
Say we by now.
They need Jonah.
Yeah, it's okay.
They need Jonah. They need that other 4th spot because until Sam Froling comes back, and I don't even want to keep saying that when Sam comes back, this team right now as constructed is good enough. They're on a roll right now.
But I'm okay with them not figuring out the 4th spot just yet because that way Justin Tatum, depending on the matchup, you got the other 4 starters locked in. So it's like, hey, what helps us in this matchup? Is it outside shooting? Do we need Todd Blanchfield to space the floor? Do we need a guy who's just going to crash the glass and be the ultimate trust in Mason Peeling? Do we need Jonah Bolden to come in? Having that as a bit of a wild card, I think, is only going to help them. They've got a big few tests coming up, though.
Big 4-game stretch coming up. Where is this going to be a reality check or is it going to define their season? How many of these games, Damon, I ask you to please somehow put your bias to the side. How many do these win? How many of these do they win?
Well, could win them all and could also lose them all because that's just how the league is. I'm just saying. Now, Sydney Kings, that game, that is the most heated rivalry of all time. Yeah. Last year was a clean sweep, but that last year is over with. Sydney Kings are playing some good basketball. Hey, look, man, every game in the league is a coin toss. So, yeah, they would like to at least split, two of those.
What do you reckon? You're going to say, I reckon they win 3 of them. I honestly think they've turned their season around. We've seen Justin Tatum, how they ride momentum. As long as they stay healthy, Dave O'Hickey leading the charge, I think they win 3. It's also, the scheduling's so incredible. Like, Melbourne's going back there in a couple of games' time.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough.
How it works. Anyway, we're going to cut to a break. We'll be back with the Sydney Kings next. Something in the water in New South Wales because first the Illawarra Hawks now have a pulse again and the Sydney Kings are clearly drinking from the same ocean water. I don't know what they're drinking from, but it's working because the Kings are back.
The Kings are back. And you know why?
Why?
Because they now have remembered the power of Xavier Cooks. And it was never Xavier's, he had to take a little bit of responsibility for it, but when you're playing with such a dynamic guard in Kendrick Davis and the pieces they brought in there, it's hard to get that balance just right because there's times that Kendrick just got to be Kendrick. Kawhi's always going to be Kawhi, but they don't get that far without Xavier Cooks being heavily involved. And he's not a guy that's ever going to complain and moan about it. He's just going to keep going out there playing hard. A lot was made about free throw percentage and about, is he scared? Is he not aggressive? None of that was the case. It was purely his teammates not involving him. Since they have, he is back to MVP form. Everything's looking good in Sydney. And what I especially like is Tim Suarez is playing big minutes at the 5, say about 28 minutes at the 5. Xavier gets to stay at his 4 spot. And Brian Gorge is going to young Hunter. Is Goodrich?
Yeah, Goodrich.
Sorry. Yeah, Hunter. Sorry, man. Yeah, so Hunter's getting those kind of Kelly LePepe minutes, just a couple of them. He's not the three-point shooter that Kelly is, but it just gives you some minutes to let Xavier stay at his 4 spot. And then, depending on who they're playing and at the time of the game, yes, Xavier Cooks can go and play some 5, but not for heavy chunks. So right now, I feel like the balance is just right.
He's the engine room. For everything they want to achieve, it's no surprise that on this 3-game winning streak, they would have had a chat about it and say, hey, how do we get the most out of this team? It's on Xavier Cooks, man. And I love that they've got him more involved. I love the way he's playing, but You talk about what they can achieve, how far can they go? Xavier Cooks is going to determine how far they go this season.
100%.
Well, how far can they go?
They can go all the way to the championship series. They got all the pieces. They got the best, arguably the best defensive perimeter team in Bull Quall, Jalen Galloway. Sorry, Malawach got hurt, but they are so rock solid on defense. But I'm telling you, they got a game winner in Kendrick Davis, and I got to shout out Kendrick because he is now. He is surgically getting buckets now. It's not all about just I'm better than everybody out here, I'm just going to score. He's picking his spots beautifully, when to get guys involved. I didn't see him play with this kind of joy last season. It just seemed like he was just scoring because that's just in his DNA. But now it looks like it's heavily structured, and he's picking his spots beautifully.
If they're going to win a championship, get to a championship series, in terms of importance of their players, it's Xavier Cooks, and then it's Bull Quall for me. Because we've seen how good this team looks when Bull Quall is locked in. The way that he is playing, he can be the best defender in the league when he really locks in and again, knocking down the three balls. And then it's Kendrick Davis. I say that because Kendrick Davis is going to be Kendrick Davis. He is a guy who just goes in there. He's going to score the ball. He's starting to be a whole lot more efficient. He is their point guard. Delly's been great as well, but they're just so important, so different, the way that Cooks and Bull Quall are playing.
What about the Breakers on their side? They've played some really good basketball, and I don't think their record suggests just how good they are. Now, I'm not saying they're really a championship threat, but they've lost some tight games. They've played some good basketball, and again, they're always in it with a fight.
Well, we've done just about every one of their games, and if the game was only 32 minutes long, they'd probably be on top of the ladder or close to it. But they just get in their own way, and I feel for Patrick Coppin. He's came out and said it. We don't know how to win. Losing has become a habit. They put themselves in good spots, Pete, but then it's those silly mental errors, turnovers, bad shot selection, not going to the hot hand, not going to the right matchup on offense. So you add all that together, and you talk about not having any margin for error like Tasmania, like Scott Roth said. They've got negative room for what's the word?
For error.
For error.
Well, I mean, that fourth quarter against Adelaide, I mean, 1 point, they didn't score for 5 minutes. It was really hard to watch. They just shot themselves in the foot. But Sam Menenga's been unbelievable, leading for most improved player. PJC's doing his thing. Brockington's been really good again, which is great to see. But you talk about the margin for error, they haven't had that consistent spark off the bench. They haven't had that guy to come in and constantly. I think Davison's look really good when he's out there. But to really have that closing group, I think they're bookended really well. Brockington's playing well, and outside of that, they really all need to fire because you go back and have a look at some of their losses, they should have easily had 4 of those be wins.
What happened to Isaiah Liafa? Isaiah Liafa hasn't hit a shot for 2 years. Now, I love Isaiah Liafa as a player, but sometimes you've got to call a spade here. I just not sure what happened to his jump shot, how he's going to get it back. But that's a guy, when you talk about a spark plug off the bench, every time he comes in, look, I watched him through college, watched him in his early days in the league, that just seems to have gone out the window. We're getting nowhere near the production we should from a guy who's proven himself in the league in the early days as a quality shooter. He's shooting around 22% last year and then 22% this year for New Zealand.
The Will McDowell, White, PJC, Isaiah Liafa. That trio, that was Isaiah Liafa knocking shots down off the bench. Then he goes to Sydney. And I don't know what happened over there. He got tangled up over there. Lost his confidence. Now he's back trying to regain it. But yeah, right now in a shooting slump that's been going on far too long.
And the only way you get out of it is to keep shooting the rock. And you have no doubt he's putting in the work every single day. You just got to trust the process.
I hope he is. Are you there?
No, for sure. You know he is. Every player, especially when you're struggling that much and your team needs that spark and you can be that and you're not delivering, he would be 100% working overtime. The damn walls will break eventually for him, and hopefully that can be a spark for
You hope so, because we do a lot of New Zealand games, and you just feel like, as you said, they're one piece away on the bench from being in a lot of other games. If he can give you 6, 7, 8 points, you're a lot better off for that for Isaiah Liafa. But Brisbane, Casey Prather, broken record. We say it every single time. Still, for some reason, and I think it's just because he went through, the break in the league. He was injured overseas, injured here. I still seem surprised when he plays extremely well. At some point, I need to lose that emotional reaction.
It was about 4 months ago. Maybe back end of last year you sort of lost it. He's a stud.
No, I haven't lost it yet.
No, he's an
absolute
absolute stud. To be honest, I'm at the point I have been for a few weeks now that when he has a poor game, which he hasn't had yet, I would be absolutely surprised. If he's not scoring 25, ripping down 8 rebounds, I'd be surprised. He's just right now born to score, be it super damaging, super efficient. And this Brisbane Bullets team will talk about, if they stay healthy, bring back Sam McDaniel. You have a look at their roster, it's good.
the game is slowed down for him. He doesn't rely on athleticism like he used to. He picks his spots perfectly. He's stronger than most people that's guarding him. His fundamentals are so ridiculously good. He don't need a lot of space. One shot fake, one jab. He's on the rim, pull up jump shots. He gets out in transition. He plays D. He's doing literally everything, and he's reliable. Remember those mini restriction days when he's riding a bike all day long? Now he's out there on the floor. Look, if they can get whole again, they need a little bit more pieces, and they also understand the importance of Tyrell Harrison. Those two guys right there, man, and now that Mitch Norton is back, they're going to be a tough beat.
So I want to ask you that. What kind of spot on the ladder are you looking at for a team that's going to start when they're fully healthy? Mitch Norton, Matthias, Sam McDaniel, Casey Prather, Tyrell Harrison. With Jalen Adams, who's been hot and cold coming off the bench, but we know how good his hot is. Alex Dukas in a different mindset. We see Jacob Holt. It was great to see him finally suit up. That roster, though, if it all clicked and they stayed healthy, where are you seeing them finishing?
The season is now starting to turn into what I thought it would be in the preseason. Everybody's beating everybody. Everybody's winning games you think they wouldn't win. I feel like the 6th spot is the raffle. The 6th spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, they could be already set with a little bit of movement maybe. But the 6th spot, Pete, it's going to be a dog fight between, I would say, like a Tasmania, Brisbane Bullets, who else? I mean, it could be anybody, man. So it's wide open, but I can't see.
You got Perth in that little raffle?
I got Perth up there in top 4.
Well, I'm trying to think. You got Perth, Melbourne,
everybody
Illawarra,
but Cairns.
Sydney, Adelaide, Southeast Melbourne. There's already 6 there.
Basically everybody but Cairns. It's going to be hell.
EBC, that's the way Damon rolls. Everybody but Cairns.
Everybody but Cairns.
Hey, one of your favourite things to do, it's every broadcast we do, you love the ball getting into the big fella when you got a dominant big. And Tyrell Harrison, it looked like in moments in the first half, they didn't want to touch him down there. And then the game turned on its heels as soon as they got it into the big fella.
It's baffling to me how you can forget about a guy that damn big. 7'1". I mean, coming off the season he had last
First 6
season.
minutes, it felt like he did not touch the ball.
I mean, and I blame that is purely the guard's fault. Like, I'm from the school, the point guard, you got to get your studs involved. Worry about yourself later. Now, Mitch Norton was on minutes restrictions, so whatever. Yeah. But everybody else on the team, there he is down there, Tyrell, the biggest one of the pterodactyls in Queensland, and yet he goes missing. But as soon as you give him the ball, he's shooting 70% on the season. I mean, so come on now. It's negligence when his teammates forget about him for stretches.
Inside out, that's how they got to play. Obviously, Casey Prather, he's shooting the 3-ball really well, but once he gets to that low block and he faces up, it's game over. You just got to shake his hand.
Where do we sit with Stu Lash at the moment? Are we verging on maybe Stu Lash needs an apology? And now no one on here said anything, overly aggressive or anything about it, but in the general sphere of the basketball world, there was a lot of doubt, especially over those first few games, even games at the Blitz. Right now, he's looking like he's doing a pretty damn good job.
When this all started, and I said, I don't give a damn who's doing it. Like, the team seems to work. Stu can be the overseer. D-Mac can be the defensive coordinator. Vandy can be the offensive coordinator. As long as they all cool with it, who are we to judge? I've never had an issue with it. My only issue is them press conferences and some of those.
Oh, yeah.
That's my only thing. Well, but other than that, they're fine with me.
Fans just want success, right? And the Brisbane Bullets want to get back to the playoffs. So, again, you can't judge anything until the end of the season. If the Brisbane Bullets can make a playoff push, I would say it's a success. They want to go further than that, as every team does. But every team, I think, has different levels of success for this season. The Wildcats, you talk about giving an apology. They beat the Adelaide 36ers once, but what happens at the end of the year? What happens then? You talk about apologies. So I'm looking forward to fast-forwarding 4 months' time. But right now, they're doing a terrific job.
Break now, and on the back end of it, well, Damon's going to throw out EBC because he is talking about the Cairns Taipans.
McGee's going to shoot a 3. Why not? He's done everything else. Why not do that? Now to Doyle. They're living dangerously here, Melbourne. Oh. Doyle, the bank is open. Finding Quatnoy, who'll pull up the 3. You can lift the roof at Kudos Bank Arena.
I hope JaVale McGee is getting the money he deserves from the sponsors, whether it's the Tangerine Dunk of the round and now the Mitsubishi Motors leading threes. He's not quite on the leaderboard, but he's still ending up in the highlight package. What a season the NBA superstar is having. A shout out to Mitsubishi Motors. lining up all the threes throughout the years now. Mojave King. The Cairns Taipans go down in a tough loss to the Illawarra Hawks. I thought this guy was in the Mojave Desert. He was nowhere to be seen a couple of months ago. And now he's out on the scene, 32 points, and my God, it was done with ruthless efficiency.
Did we ever doubt this man's ability?
I think a lot of people did.
I never did. His athleticism, his ability to score the ball, it's always been there. For whatever reason, he just couldn't find a stable home. He's tried to make the NBA. He's in the G League doing his thing, tried to go overseas to Europe, but New Zealand last season was a bit of a basket case for him, so he's kind of left out in the wilderness. But he showed right there, you don't just come off out of nowhere and drop 32 points if you can't get down.
Are we underestimating how impressive that game was? For a guy who's only been with the team for a week or so, he missed 3 shots, came in there, was just lighting it up in a losing effort when everybody else was trying their best, but they couldn't get it to tick over. They couldn't get any stops. That is so impressive to do, and to have him for the whole season, what this could hopefully do for his career. Still incredibly young. We've seen him have the NBA chances where he wants to get to. I know he's part of the Tall Blacks roster as well in the FIBA break, which is going to be fun to watch as well. I'm stoked to see that, and I hope to see it a whole lot more for the Cairns Taipans.
He's one of those guys where it's, OK, this was a great game, but now you've got to back it up. And boy, will that plug a lot of gaps that the Cairns Taipans desperately need to plug.
And again, I'm trying to look at what this team can be. We're not going to see Sam Wardenberg till the middle of December, because it's great to see him back in Cairns now. And he said he's 5 weeks or so away from being back on the floor, so after the FIBA break. And I said if they can just hold their head above water and just try. They don't want to be that party-pooping team where it's like, you know what, let's just ruin other people's seasons. Because if they've got Andrews, Mojave King, if Rain Smith comes back, Jack McVeigh, Wardenberg, like, it is going to be a whole lot of fun when they can get all on the court together.
And we saw Adam Ford bench Marcus Lee and play a 2-3 zone.
Well, they junked it up. They tried that. They went to a 3-2. They tried everything.
They mixed it all up. Now, can that be a recipe long term? Don't know. But Kyron Galloway, guys like that, he's got to step up. We know what Jack McVeigh is going to provide. Andrew Andrews, a little bit up and down, but fairly consistent. But it's guys like Mojave King now and Kyron Galloway that can keep this thing respectable.
It was a respectful way also to go into that game. And he spoke about it in the press conference. Adam Ford said, we didn't have the matchup for JaVale McGee one-on-one. So we basically put in there, you know what, we're going to give up 2, but we're going to hit 3 on the other end. And it worked. And it worked for the most part. Was it sustainable to win? Probably not. But I thought they gave it a real good crack.
Certainly did. Damon, we've got to get to beat the coach because some revelations during the week. It turns out that there's about 4,000 accounts that have been registered that you made and have been registering dodgy teams with them just so you got some wins. Is that an accusation that I should be believing?
No.
You were beaten by 3,710 individuals that currently have your number.
I will say this. I think I sustained a concussion because I forgot to put JaVale McGee in my team. But what about the other 10,000 people that took an L?
No,
10,000 of you.
That is a lot of L's for you.
We've actually got those people forgot to log in that week and submit their team.
Do you know how sore my feet are, man, from kicking so much ass every week?
3,000. You said that's a massive number.
That was a big number for those 3,000, but still, I like the 10,000.
No JaVale McGee? You're a Hawks man?
What's your round 9 team?
Round 9, who'd I put in this time?
Oh, God.
Hey, look at that squad. I got Bryce. I don't care how Bryce feel about me. You my captain. Get buckets. I got my vice captain, Sam Meninga. I'm not losing faith in Sam.
Talk about a knee-jerk reaction.
Don't forget, there's a salary cap, people. You got to spend wisely. I see you, Mojave King, Rob Baker II. All these teams are playing twice, and Max Darling. Flynn Cameron was quiet last game, and I'm expecting him to make shots. So good luck to you. And I don't mean it.
I don't like it. I think you're going to get beat by more than that.
Well, you register and put your team in.
Hey, well, I'll tell you what, register.
Pull
out your phone
in.
now, Pete. Pull out your Android, Huawei, whatever you're using over there, and scan that QR code, if they can even do that on that goddamn phone. Andrew Gaze looking at you as well. Scan in, get ready, beat the coach. It's absolutely going off. Hey, we're going to cut to a break, but on the back end, a whole new segment. Ooh. It's exciting times on the Overtime desk because we love it when we get a new stinger, which is a little video you see before a segment. Now, this is crunch time. Thanks to Bird's Eye, I have asked that the stinger use my image respectfully. Let's see what they've done.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's your apartment, too.
Working out.
That is not your chest.
That is not my
too.
teeth.
Yeah. Well,
that is not even my
true,
teeth.
True.
Anyway, so it's crunch time. So what we're doing, you're trying to find a team in the league or a person, player, coach, anything that is under as much pressure as a nice bird's eye crunchy chip in a bowl in front of me.
Oh, that's
Who's it
what
going to be,
was.
Pete?
Well, I might have
That's
missed
why it's called crunch time, because the beautiful crunchy bird's eye chip.
Oh, I did it more of like who I'm watching closely, and it's the Illawarra Hawks.
Why?
I've gone because right now we have them as a team that can really do some damage, and they have a massive test against the red-hot Sydney Kings team. I want to see them coming out the last couple of games they played and do what they can do to Sydney, like we all think with JaVale McGee. I don't want them to take a backward step now. I'm all in now. We are on this bandwagon. Not that you have jumped off, but you had some harsh things to say, warranted probably. But now we're all on. I am on this now, and I don't want to see a backward step.
I don't think bird's eye are going to be too happy with that. It's meant to be crunch time, like a crunchy chip.
They'll be fine.
Thanks, man.
They'll
Thanks,
be fine.
Man. You know what? I'll go get some.
Misunderstood the segment.
No, they'll be fine. All right, now, my crunch time, bird's eye view.
Bird's eye view. What? That is what they're commonly known as.
So anyway, focus.
Sorry.
Tasmania Jack Jumpers. 4 losses in a row. Yes, you lost by 1 point. You lost by 2 points. Either way, you're losing. All at home. The island has never been more insecure. Unsecure. You guys need to step it up. No excuses. Got to find a way. I'm going to be down there this week, too, calling the game on Thursday. So fix it.
What do you think the reason is? And I know we spoke on Tassie a little bit earlier, but what is your reasoning right now that Tassie is struggling specifically, which seems very odd to me because it is so against their culture and the fabric of their club that they're struggling at home?
I think it's between the
Are
ears
their
now.
fans not loud enough?
No, I think it's between the ears now. I think sometimes you can get in this kind of rut where you need to have like that circuit breaker. FIBA break's going to come at a good time for David Johnson to come back. But yeah, I'm still high on what they can achieve, but I want to see something soon because the last 4 games have been disappointing. Nearly as disappointing as our first day of every segment to Birds. We will be better. We will be a whole lot better.
I thought, well, maybe if you understood it's crunch time. Damon, fantastic
He was
work.
talking about a view. He was talking about a view. I'm like...
Hey, Ignite Cup this Wednesday, Brisbane versus New Zealand.
Yeah.
Going to be a cracker because New Zealand's starting to play good basketball and Steve Ash has those bullets firing.
New Zealand Breakers look good on the Ignite Cup ladder too, so they might be a team to look out for.
400K the long way. Wednesdays is always motivating factor.
Is there anyone out of the running right now in
Sydney
the Ignite
Kings.
Cup? So Sydney Kings are out. They're not touching that cash, which is something that Sydney desperately loves and needs if you look at the housing market there. The New Zealand right now, our front runner.
I think they're top, having played 1 game off memory right now, so they come up against a Brisbane team. If they can win that and win a couple of quarters, they'll be in a really good position.
What are you most looking forward to coming up to round 9?
I mean, it has to be the Sydney Illawarra game. It has to be. This is the rivalries there, but 2 of the hottest teams in the competition. JaVale McGee versus Tim Suarez, because they don't have a backup big.
Hold up.
They don't have
That's
a backup
not a marquee
big.
matchup. I'm talking Tim Suarez versus JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee's going to have 100 points.
That's what everybody wants
Like
to
Will
see.
Chamberlain did?
What about you? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, same thing.
No.
That is the game of the year.
Come on, man.
I'm sorry, it's the game of the year. I'm not looking for anything else.
Game of the year. We just had Adelaide.
No,
and Perth.
man,
We
you
just
don't
had
understand. You don't understand.
the Throwdown.
Wollongong, Sydney Kings, man. Illawarra, Sydney Kings. I'm telling you, nothing.
And that's
is
one with
more
the rivalry. I
lively.
think there's enough players.
It's not
on
a
either of those
manufactured rivalry.
No.
It's not something you make up. It is a genuine disdain and hate.
Tell you what I'm excited for. I'm going to see Dave Gray tonight, which I've asked about 100 people, and nobody knows who Dave Gray is. So if you know who Dave Gray, the singer of Babylon, This Year's Love,
Never heard of it.
please comment down below that you know who he is, because right now I feel like I'm going to a concert, no one's going to be there. Enjoy round 9. We'll see you next Monday.